Hello and welcome back again to Sullivan's Farm. It's been that long, a month or 6 weeks since the last video. I should feel I might introduce myself again, but we'll skip that for now anyway. Things have been quiet. There's been nothing happening building wise or cow wise or field wise or heifer wise or anything like that really. So I've had nothing to show and I'm not about to start making stuff up, but I thought I'd throw up an owl update anyway and just let people know I'm still alive, still heading towards milking cows and still trying to get the few jobs done. There's one of the things I collected yesterday. We'll go down for a quick look at that. These are second-hand cubicle mats that I picked up in Wexford yesterday. They were up on Dundee the day before. I rang the man in question. We came to an arrangement over the price and I went down for him straight away. So it was a little bit of a, I won't say a hairy drive home, but I was glad when I got home. So I should have put them in the opposite way. At least see them there, like they were the opposite way. They'd have been more, the car would have been more aerodynamic. It would have been kind of like that and the wind would have blown up the way. And then driving past New Ross on the new New Ross roundabout, they mightn't have been flapping as much as they were, but we got here. They're here now and I'm going to throw them out onto the slats here. We'll let the rain wash them for the next couple of days, maybe the next few weeks even, and I'll see then how many of them need to be power washed and disinfected, and I'll start putting them inside in the cubicles then. You can see I have them unloaded now anyway. I leave them on top of the slats for the next week or two, see how much rain comes and see how much that washes them off. I'll turn them over and we'll see then after another week or two as to whether they need to be power washed or just disinfected. If they need to be power washed, I'll power wash them and then I'll disinfect them, let them dry out and then start bringing them in. But I brought in one just to check for size, and yeah, I was glad I hadn't checked for size before I went to pick them up. So some of them are grand. They're not new, obviously, they're second hand, but structurally they're perfect. They just need a clean, and I have them kind of separated out the whole way down there. Others then, they aren't great, but again we'll see how we go when they're washed and they're disinfected and I have them inside. Now this is what I saw when I brought one in just to check the size. So it's a little bit wide, this particular one is. Some of them are more narrow, but they all seem to be roughly, this seems to be the standard width of them. So I'll see, I'll just maybe take a little slot out there with the angle grinder, shove them down, and they'll still be grand once they're clean and disinfected. What was a bonus was to get these little brackets with them, so they just fit between there. I'll drill a hole. If the top of them isn't great but the bottom is okay, then that'll be fine too. Like, in fairness, it isn't out of our front legs the milk's going to be coming, so once the back of it where her dug is clean, then she'll be flying. As you can see, there's a few weeds growing where the concrete needs to be poured. On this side going into the shed, and on that side where the car is, where I unloaded the mats. But the builder is due back this week, so hopefully we'll pour more concrete and we'll go from there. We'll have a quick look at the parlour shed as we're passing to before we go out to the field. So I was doing a bit of marking out, trying to tune myself in. So there's 6'6", 2 meters back from that wall, and I'll show you why this was marked out as 3 meters. So the first cluster might go there, various other measurements. 15 feet to that wall, to that post, that pillar from that wall, 2 meters from that pillar there. If we were going a different way, measuring tape out, and then I was stepping back. So if I did that, then this would be where the 8-unit parlour would finish, and there's that much space. So there's another mark there. This is 2'6" centres, 10 units to there, and 12 units to there. And then it kind of dawned on me, and I thought, well, if the parlour takes up all of this room, then where is the bulk tank and the pump house and the dairy going to be? So that kind of changed that, and I was getting more confused and more confused. And what I I didn't use it, but what I ended up doing was just buying different colour chalk to step through the different options and mark out the different options. And then I instead got a bit of sense for myself, and I rang the man who's going to be fitting the parlour, and he's going to come back when the builder is here as well, hopefully the end of this week into next week, and we'll step it out and we'll see the options, because everything has a knock-on effect then as to whether we leave space for 10 or 12, or we just go with 8, and that's going to impact whether the cows exit there near that gate, exit here and back out through the cubicles, and just go to various different paddocks around the place. I'll load up my golf clubs now and set up a reel out for the heifers out in the big field. This is the little tree corner place where we reseeded at the same time as the field we're heading out towards there now. It's been grazed, a little bit bare there, but that'll come. There's extra clover gone in, so we're grazing it down a little bit more to try and leave space for the clover to come through. But it's been grazed 3 times now, and the grass has bounced back every single time without any extra nitrogen. Happy enough with it so far. It needs a few more grazings before it pays for itself just yet, but so far so good. I missed my calling. Should have been a Premier League footballer. Not a Gaelic footballer now, I was never big enough for that, but soccer might have suited me better. This then is the one that was reseeded last year, and there's a huge amount of clover in it. Absolutely loads of clover, so we'll need to keep an eye on them if the weather turns wet. So apparently they can get blowed, but other than that, I'm happy enough with the clover in it too. Now, clover doesn't do enough on its own. You can't depend on it, and it's kind of funny, as they say, funny to manage, but like managing means getting things wrong, learning by your mistakes. That's what management is really. So if you hear fellas talking about, oh, multi-species swards needs to be managed differently, or clover needs to be managed differently. Managed is a fancy way of saying making mistakes and costing money and eventually learning over time. That's what management is. But anyway, we'll set up this reel here now. 2 water trucks in the field. You can see it down there in the distance, but it's pretty much the same as that one. Not very exciting. There's only 4 permanent paddocks here at the moment. Again, you can't really see them. This wire down here splits the field in 2, and then the 2 twos are split in 2 again. You used to have sheep back in the day, so I put in a load of stakes there and wire down there, and then I took down the bottom row of it. But what's that about managing and learning and all that kind of stuff? So just, it's easy to set up the wire stakes and the reels here now and divide it into 8. Divide 4 into 8. They're coming into this side first, coming in the gap there. So we leave the water truck on this side and start pulling out our wire. Leave it out a little bit so that when the switchover happens, that's essentially the gap where they'll be going out now to the second side of the paddock, and we'll just connect up the wire on the other side of the water truck. I'll probably curse it or jinx it now, but the bales have been fairly unmolested by the crows this year. I don't know if it's the tires on top or the bit of grease we put along there, but I don't really care. The crows anyway haven't been at the bales so far this year. I collected a few bales of straw from a neighbour there one Sunday evening too. So yeah, it was great to get a few. I need a few more still, but I was very happy to get the few I got. Some of them are there. We're going to end up wrapping them. A few there from last year. Those ones, the square ones, are still up there as well from last year, so they can be thrown down there. And it's That's where I stacked up. I don't know if it'll work out or not, but that's where I stacked up 9 of the round bales I got. Wait till we see it from this side, out through the feed barrier. So they're there, kind of out of the way, but also kind of as a barrier against the wind and the rain. And the plan will be to put calves in there as soon as they're born. Put up a bale there. There might be a bit of a breeze in there, but it won't be too bad. There'll be plenty shelter. We'll get a few proper pallets. That was a kind of a test to see how they'd fit or how high they were. Keep the calves back from eating the straw or pulling a bale down on top of themselves, something like that. Yeah, it'll do. There's more calf houses down at the yard at the road, and when the calves get a bit bigger they can go in there. And as ever, we'll have to play it by ear after that. There's not an awful lot to do around the yard at the moment. I'm only chipping away at a few jobs, but one of the nicest things, and I do it every day, twice some days, 3 times more days, is just go over for a walk and look at the heifers and walk in around them. So we'll go over and we'll do that now. There's a nice bit of calm in it. They're after getting through this grass quicker, this paddock, quicker than I thought. So I thought I was setting up the reel for tomorrow, but I'd say I'll shift them there in the next hour. And as well as it being nice to walk over around them and everything is nice and calm and you can hear the wind in the trees in the background, all that good stuff, there's a bit of method to the madness, I think, as well. And it's just nice. It kind of sets the tone for the heifers. When I'm calm, I'm hoping anyway, I don't know the reality of this, but my theory is that if you're nice and calm around them and you walk in around them and they don't take any notice of you and they hear you talking and they get used to your voice and all they do is come and say hello, then that'll help them inside in the parlour as well. But I think, as I've said before, the theory is easy. It's all in my head at the moment, and I might have a very different story for you when the reality kicks in next February. But it's all calm for now anyway. I guess one bit of news, probably the most important news, I should have said that. You start with the strong stuff. The most important bit of news was that I scanned the heifers there last week, and of the 26 of them, 25 were in calf. So I was delighted with that. You couldn't but be delighted with that, because as ever, as with every year, you'd be always hearing mixed reports about some fella not getting on so well and some fella having to do something else with him again and change to autumn calfing or something like that. So I was delighted when 25 out of 26 were in calf. So that means to get to 32 now, I need to buy 7 in calf heifers or 7 freshly calved heifers next year. And that's assuming the 25 that have been scanned in calf here last week hold now, and that there's no issues between now and next February. I think the first one is due maybe around the 30th of January into the 1st of March. And from then into, I think the last one is due maybe early March, mid-March, but we'll see. Again, there's F all we can do about that. Once they start, and that'll be that. That's the good news about the heifers. The bad news, one of them got summer mastitis about a fortnight ago there, and I rang the vet and got advice on it and got the medicines they need, or she needed, an anti-inflammatory and an antibiotic for a couple of days as well. And I brought her in and drew the stuff out for 3 days until there was nothing more to come out, and I thought that was that. And then about a week, 10 days after that, I noticed her dug a little bit swollen again. So she's going through a bit of treatment again at the moment, and hopefully this time around we'll get it sorted. But so I'm sure 'tisn't much crack for her and 'tisn't much crack for me, but she needs help, she needs treatment, and she needs that procedure every day, so we'll just get on with it. I have her here beside the yard just to make it easy to run her in and out or walk her in and out, and there's another one here to keep her company. And I guess they're okay now, but what wasn't helping the first evening I left them down here was the fact that they were away from all their buddies and they were out on their own, and they weren't used to it just being the 2 of them. And I don't know, say that they wouldn't have been comrades since they were calves either, but they're okay now. Still loads of ducks in this field. We'll eventually get around to doing something with this field. I know. What can we do? No, no, no. We'll be in and out now in 5 minutes. Go on. Now, go on. Don't mind looking that way in the way. You don't see no better than I do where you're going. Go on, Moo. There's not as much out of her. Nowhere near as much out today as there was yesterday. We give them both a few cubes to try and ease the pain, ease the stress a little bit when they come in, but yeah, job done now anyway. As I said, not very pleasant, but there wasn't anywhere near as much stuff in her today as there was yesterday, so hopefully she's heading in the right direction. Check her again tomorrow, check her again the next day, and do whatever needs to be done. Last job of the evening, so we'll shift these heifers. Seeing as they're after hearing me talking, they've come over to get ready for their move. Now, come on, so. Now, go on, go on. We haven't the evening to be waiting. Let's go. I suppose it's only natural. You think about the one that's sick and you think, Jesus, what did I do wrong? But, or how could I have prevented that? But you forget about the rest of them who aren't sick, and you never take any credit for the ones that are going well, whether it's the other 24, 25, 26 or the other 46 or 56 or 156. You forget about the ones who are going well and you think they're doing that themselves, and then you blame yourself for the one that's sick or the one that you lose, which happens as well. But look, I think that's only human nature. That's the girls content then for a few more days. There'll be no fear of them. So with the heifers munching away in the background and the birds singing in the trees and the sky blue and all that good stuff, we'll say good luck from this video. If I don't have some kind of building work to show you in the next video, there will be something seriously wrong. So mind yourselves. Good luck.